All right, let's dissect last night. I mentioned a couple of things that I'd love that the Chargers go for it on fourth down. I think it sends a great message to your team that this is who we are and I have confidence in you. The going for it on fourth down at the end of the first half, I didn't understand because if you don't make it, then you have the Chiefs in horrible position. Well, the half is ending, Brady.
It's over.
You got to kick a field goal in that situation. The other ones, you want to go for it, fine. We can maybe nitpick on the play calling. But I had a problem at the end of the first half not getting 3 points.
And I wonder how much the fourth down earlier that was dropped that they could have converted for a touchdown, how much that played into it, right? Like they should have scored a touchdown there. They should have converted that, and thoughts and prayers too. Obviously, I hope the player's okay. But, the reality is I wonder how much of that played a factor into the feeling of all that. Because I'm with you. I'm thinking in my head, just take the points, move on to the second half. This isn't the time to take that risk necessarily. But, you also have Justin Herbert as your quarterback. And I think the message he is sending, and you're right, it's the entire team. Like, it's the Justin Herbert in your offense saying, we think that highly of this kid. We're going to give him 4 downs in a lot of circumstances, not 3. And that might change the way we look at football or how teams approach us. But it's going to change the way I think a lot of people look at football, especially when you got a quarterback like Justin Herbert. But it's also telling your defense, if we don't get it, we believe in you.
Yeah.
Being able to get us the football back to this guy. So,
but explain the analytics, though, Brady, because analytics don't factor in. It's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill going for it on fourth down. If it's the Jets or Jacksonville, you can't use the same analytics.
I personally hate even the analytics conversation because I think it's too nuanced. There's too many variables. Yeah. I mean, for starters, your game plan alone changes drastically week to week. With the personnel groupings you want to try to utilize to find that matchup versus your opponent, their scheme, depending on what type of cover 3 zone they play, teams play them differently. So how you go about preparing those route concepts are differently. The blitz packages are different. So in all those scenarios, and you better believe on fourth down in particular, we would put on the game plan, got to have it plays. There's some teams who are going to bring the house depending on where you're at, especially down in the red zone. There's some teams who are going to play all covers. They're going to drop 8. So you have a different preparation for each one of those. So there's so many variables just with your opponent and that situation, let alone your own personnel and who's out there and that matchup and how your personnel matches up against them. And then injuries and everything else and flow of the game. I think last night's decision by Brandon Staley was more flow of the game. He saw earlier, like, hey, we should have had that. It should have been a touchdown. Yeah. We feel confident about what we're seeing. Let's go for it here. And by the way, we are playing the Chiefs. So maybe if they're playing the Jets, as you said, you take the points, you move on. But because it's the Chiefs, you kind of feel like we have to take these chances of scoring touchdowns. We can't afford to take our foot off the gas at any point in time.
Yeah, and I understand that the Chiefs get in your head more than any other team in the NFL where you go, we got to get touchdowns, not field goals. And I understand that philosophy. But at the end of the first half, I got to have points. I don't want to go in that locker room going, man, we failed on fourth again.